Eric. What do he? Yeah. Like Kyler Murray or like Bryce Young, rather. Jesus.
Oh man, old Bryce.
Let me
start.
Yeah, he's gonna get a new starter, right? He may get a new city start in a year. Let me. I'm gonna kick us off. All right, hey everybody. My name's Toomey, fantasy football strategist on TikTok, YouTube, all these other channels. And I'm half of the post game, and this is my friend Eric. You can introduce yourself, Eric.
Yeah, what's going on? It's your boy, As and TDs. I'm in the same fantasy league with my man Toomey. I guess, I don't have a podcast, but I suppose you can call me a professional homie.
Okay. So we're doing a post game. Basically, like typically these are on Sunday nights, and they will be on Sunday nights moving forward. We just had some stuff. I had some stuff come up yesterday. We couldn't do it, so we're doing it on Monday night. But we're basically just talking about what happened in the week with a pretty big heavy tilt to fantasy football. But we're also going to be talking about other topics in the NFL. There was a lot of news that happened today, so it's kind of nice that we actually get to talk about some of the stuff that happened Monday. I mean, there were some firings, some injury reports that we can get into, some really interesting stuff that we're going to talk through. So that's what we're about to hit up. All right. So starting off, we were kind of talking about it. How's your team looking, Eric? Fantasy teams, that is. Not the Panthers. We're going to get to them.
Yeah, we'll get there. Fantasy team this week, I was doing well for, I would say, 5 weeks in a row. I was on a win streak. This week, I'm going to probably take an L, assuming that Jordan Addison doesn't turn into R.Rice. Oh, no, I'm just saying. I was doing well, getting lucky, but, the luck runs out. I got Bijan Robinson.
Yeah. He's showing up. He's showing up now. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, you can go ahead and stay a little late, dog. If you're going to do this, you might as well follow through. But everybody want to flip the script on me. Well, I got to be an exit. Why people want to get off on me? Keep on going where you going.
Yeah, he was, because, it's funny. It's like before the bye week, they had that game. He got like 20-something carries. And I was like, I'm hoping this continues through the bye. But Arthur Smith. And honestly, he could still act like Arthur Smith and change it up later. But he got 20-something carries again. That was a big deal. I feel
you. Yeah, they came out with the victory. Good old division win.
Mm-hmm. And they're leading that awful division with the losing record.
They actually double whammy me with that because when I lost to Bijan Robinson, my defense was the Saints. So that's that setup where you get slapped by both hands in the face.
That's true. I feel like I should even stop updating us on our league. I'm terrible. I am awful in what we call our league. This is a league where me and like a lot of our friends, we've been in it since 2006, Eric. Like around
there? Quite some time. Yeah, I am a little bit advanced, so it's been a minute.
It's been a while. And I used to be rocking this league, man. I used to be rocking this league. It has been lean. It has been lean for me in this league for the last few years, man. It is lean. It's a lean year this year. It's a bad year this year.
But you deserve it. A whole lot of those just ass whoopings you've laid on us throughout the years. I'm like, man, if you got to go ahead and get all those peaks, go ahead and get this man all the trough and valley he can stand. Go ahead and scorch the earth with his ass. I am tired of seeing Toomey win.
Oh, Eric, I'm going to be right back. The dog disappeared.
All right, no problem.
What are we doing?
Check the game myself. It's a barn burner with a 6-3 here.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta sit down. You gotta sit down. I didn't even know she got up. She's so quiet. She doesn't bark or anything.
Smooth operator out of there. Let me just go.
Let me go find a corner
over here. Yeah. You're talking on the computer. Let me go do me.
Yeah, so like for my team, I'm doing pretty well this week. Outside of our league, honestly, I'm doing okay, but it's like I kind of don't care about other leagues besides our league, and so that's where it's like the entire week is a loss, but it's like not really. I'm actually doing all right, but like so, I want to kind of skip through that, and honestly, I don't even know how much people really care about our personal teams, but some of the news, I just wanted to really check through some of the news. We normally don't do this, but there's just a lot of big stuff that happened, and we're going to talk more about some of the stuff later in the rundown. So just from a news perspective, we're Monday, November 27th?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, November 27th. All right. Kenneth Walker did not practice. That's not a good sign. They play on Thursday. So maybe Zach Charbonnet. I do think you could give him another shot, but that was kind of the issue with Charbonnet. The schedule just sucks. Quentin Johnson, his x-rays were negative on his ribs. It's not like he injured his hands because he's just trash, but it's just like he's not doing anything. And one thing to consider, I think Jordan Palmer, he's eligible to return from IR this week. I don't know if he's going to. I think his injury seemed a little bit worse, so I'd be surprised if he did. But it's something to consider, especially for waiver wire. DTR, he's dealing with a concussion. The coach, Stefanski, said we'll see where this week goes based on, obviously, his health. And I think there was an allusion to, like, him just getting benched because of his play. I would expect Flacco probably to start for them over P.J. Walker. Todd Monken, so he's getting more comfortable with Keaton Mitchell and different positional groupings. He actually started the game, and he led that team in snaps rather significantly over Gus Edwards, which was interesting. Myles Garrett is day-to-day with the shoulder, but he wants to play versus the Rams. If he does not play, I'm liking the Rams' offensive weapons. Rashid Shaheed is unlikely to play, and Chris Olave got a concussion. We've seen more recently some players clear the concussion protocol without needing – they've cleared it within a week more recently, but that was something that seemed kind of rare, so I wouldn't be banking on that. It's just something to think about. Like, Derek Carr is going to be really lacking weapons this week potentially. Achan, he did not suffer any setback, and so he was kind of held out more as a precaution versus the Jets. I do think that there's a situation where he plays this week, and that matchup is a great matchup against Washington. I think his name is Cam. I think it's just C. Robinson. Cam Robinson, the left tackle for the Jaguars. He's on IR. That's not great, but he was suspended for the first few games of the season anyway, so they're already used to I think it's like Walker Little's the left tackle, so it shouldn't be that bad. And they're playing the Bengals. They should be all right. Now getting into the coaches. So Jack Del Rio was fired as the DC for the Washington Commanders. He was really awful, and it does seem like Ron Rivera is like going to be taking over the defensive play calling there. I would expect them to get 5% better as a defensive unit. Nothing crazy there. I think they're still gonna suck. And so I do think they're playing Miami. It's just it's just a tough business. Yeah, I don't know about that one. But speaking of Ron Rivera, he was a former coach of the Carolina Panthers. And so today they fired Frank Reich, who was hired. I believe he wasn't hired on January 27th, or maybe it was around then. But basically 10 months ago to the day, he's been let go from his job. He was also, it kind of sucks. His only head coaching experiences, he was fired mid-season both times. But this time was only after literally 10 months, not even a full season of coaching. And we have our resident Panthers fan, so I wanted to turn over the floor to him and get his thoughts.
The record speaks for itself. Somebody's head had to roll pretty much for this. Everything that was paid to acquire Bryce Young, and when you turn around in year 1 and 10, and on top of that, the brining, shining star that you cannot go ahead and get away from, its shadow is on everything, CJ Stroud's success. So it's just, to send a message, this is not tolerable at all. The head guy had to go ahead. It seemed inevitable. It's just like, man, this looks so bad. How are we ever going to go ahead and get out of that? And it wasn't even just him. It was Josh McCown, as well as assistant head coach Deuce Staley were let go. So they cleaned house. And I'm like, look, I'm hoping whoever has been watching the team saying, you know what, with this guy's skill set, it'd be better if they did this, that, and the third. We ready for it. Somebody needs to go ahead and even for Bryce Young's sake, someone needs to get in here, put him in a position to start being successful, work with him for the rest of this season. And I'm hoping we can turn it around. You change your scenery. Can't do that too many times. You already gave away your number 1 pick. You must make this work.
That's the thing. So there's so much loaded into this situation. And unfortunately, for Panthers fans, it's almost impossible to have hope. Because I did a little digging into this. So obviously Frank Reich, he wasn't that great of a coach. Everyone sees that, right? I don't think he's like that much of like a leader of men, and it's tough to say that. I don't know the man personally. He seems like a very nice person. I'm a Colts fan, so I'd have like an affinity to him personally. I think he's probably a very good guy. I just don't think he rallies the troops that well, and so I have multiple issues with what happened today. One, last year I was very, very adamant that they needed to give Steve Wilks a shot. Like I like the team when he was head coaching for them. I think they ended the season 6-6. At the time that Frank Reich got fired, he was 3-5-1 as a Colts head coach. So comparing them like wins to losses, I know it's not the same, but like it was really like apples to oranges. Like Wilks was better at his job of rallying this particular team, and you literally see how he rallied these troops to go fight for him and even try. They almost won that division at the end of the year when everybody thought after the CMC trade it was a done deal. You also see how Steve Wilks is doing in San Francisco. Obviously, you don't have the same players you have in Carolina, but clearly he's able to run the defense, and they even turned some things around recently too. The CJ Stroud thing is the thing that I think that Frank Reich is getting killed for, but apparently, and I mean I don't even think this is brand new news. It does seem like Frank Reich was not really interested in getting Bryce Young. He actually was interested in getting CJ Stroud, and it seemed that owner stepped in. David Tepper, I think it's David Tepper. David Tepper stepped in, and he wanted Young, and so you trade the farm, you give the Bears everything they want, and you get that number one pick, and then you also are not listening to your head coach, your quarterback's coach, any of those people, and you go take Bryce Young potentially, and I don't know, this is allegedly against the will of Frank Reich. You did kind of give him a raw deal. Now, again, I don't think Frank Reich was a great coach, and I honestly don't even think he should have gotten the job. I feel like Frank Reich should probably have taken a year to like chill the hell out after getting fired mid-season for the Colts. I feel like he just accepted the job way too quickly. But like, I feel like the blood should be honestly it's on Tepper's hands, not on Frank Reich's. Like I think that he needs to have some onus into what happened. But the thing that sucks is that's the owner. You know what I mean? It's like you can't switch him out. Even the GM, I'm not a big fan of him, but I don't think he's done anything like amazing either. But they could fire him, but I mean the owner's the one who stepped in and kind of put his nose in things. And it really is reminding me of Dan Snyder. It really, really is giving me those vibes. You know what I mean? So at least from that standpoint, I don't think he's suing old women like Daniel Snyder did. But I mean, yeah. What do you think, bro?
It's like Carolina. I want them to bring in a coach that gives them enough motivation to rally the troops, like you said, because on the defensive side, Bryce Burns had requested to be traded. I want somebody, Brian Burns rather, had requested to be traded. So I want someone to give these guys motivation, thinking that what you have here collectively, you all can turn it around. You don't need to go out or just leave and tear it down. We can acquire some players. We're looking to go ahead and make such and such moves. Somebody with an idea that seems very feasible, they should go ahead and entertain. And that should really be their goal, is just giving these guys belief in self. Because being 1-10 and seeing what CJ Stroud has done with, no run game for a majority of the season. I know as of late they've had one, but you just go ahead and you excel at what you have. That's what professional football is. So you could always say we lack this, that, and the third, but every team has a weakness. So, I mean, it's just you got to make it work. I mean, to go 1-10, let's be honest, I could have ran the team and went 1-10.
That's facts. I mean, and I think the 1-10 is particularly bad because you're also in like the NFC South was playing AFC South. So the NFC South is already weak. The AFC South is honestly looking better than what people thought it was, but it's still not like it's not the AFC North. Like you can get some wins there, and you got one win. It happened to be against CJ Stroud, but you got one win, and that's it. That's just you're right. Like it's just not acceptable.
Yeah. So like that's why he had to be fired. I know if he'd have maintained his job, and they repeated this next year, what would people say? It'd be like, well, what did you expect? Or it just like, I'm thinking that guy had to know. I mean, I might go ahead and get 1-2 more checks out of this. I don't know. I mean, you got to understand with the way the cookie was crumbling, this just ain't for me. and
That's
is
great.
not.
He's head coach. I just thought about this. Like, he's been the head coach of 2 teams, but within the last, like, 2 seasons, he hasn't hit 34 games. Like, he hasn't hit 17 games a season. That's nutty.
Wow.
That's kind of crazy. Like, you didn't even get a full season with one team. That's wild.
What is the career path to be a head coach? Because, boy, he needed to be in the oven a little longer. I mean,
that's the thing. Like, honestly, the thing that got Frank Reich, man, Andrew Luck retiring bit everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, if you think about it, like, Frank Reich left the whole situation that happened with Josh McDaniels. He got offered the job, and then he, like, turned down the Colts. And I'm very bitter about that still. But, like, he turned down the Colts. That was, like, a problem. And then, like, Frank Reich, he was actually in the playoffs, and he was not interviewing on purpose so that they can go to the Super Bowl. And that was the Super Bowl that they beat the Patriots with Nick Foles, and he was the offensive coordinator. And so he was like, everything happens for a reason. I'm available at this right time. He joined the team. He joined the team understanding that Andrew Luck was going to be the quarterback. I think they got a year where Andrew Luck crushed it, and then he retires. That set the franchise back. So that definitely set him back as a head coach. I mean, he was good. Like, he was doing really well. And he honestly, it's almost like he got broken from that, which most people did. Like, Chris Ballard's not been the same. The GM, the entire organization hasn't been the same. So I do think that kind of like wrecked him.
I can see that. Yeah, I remember that Andrew Luck return. Everybody was just like, wow. Like, his future was so bright. Yeah. I mean, even when what's his name, Aaron Rodgers went down, he actually crossed my mind. I was like, shoot, maybe somebody could talk Luck into coming back. I mean, I would go ahead and see what he's doing, but
he's skinny now. Like,
yeah,
he's thin. Like,
behind him.
He don't care about nothing related to football right now, bro.
Man, he probably don't even watch.
It was kind of upsetting. Like, they had him at, like, I think it was a national championship game, and it kind of made me, like, it was like pissing me off. I was like, get him away from the field. Like, get him away from the field. Like, this is just pissing me off right now. Like, why is he this close to the field? He actually looked less skinny, like he almost had been working out. And I'm like, bro, it's like, don't do this, man. Don't do this to me. Don't do.
I mean, if he wanted, I thought he would have had an opening. He could have stepped on that Jets.
Hell yeah, he could.
Something, man.
He could have stepped
anyway.
Yeah, bro. All right, so like another thing that happened, coach firing related, not news or anything, but Adam Schefter went on to the Pat McAfee show, and he kind of dropped the bomb a little bit to that crew. He said he's expecting 7 to 10 new coaches in the NFL in 2024. That's a lot. And Adam Schefter, sometimes he says some stuff, but for the most part, this is sourced information, or he's hearing like rumors and buzz about things. 7 to 10 is a lot of like people.
A lot of shake-up, yeah.
So I wanted to try and get from you, and I'll try to do the same. Like, can we get to 10 coaches? And we'll include the ones who just got fired. So we'll include Josh McDaniels and Frank Reich. So can we get to 8 more coaches who we think may be getting the boot?
8 more coaches.
I got one off top easy.
Who?
It's not even like this. Honestly, unfair. He might as well have already been fired. Ron Rivera. Like, just add him to.
Oh yeah.
Guarantee. So, and that's not. I mean, it's just new ownership. Season's going badly. Like, that's just that. He's on the list. Who else?
How long have you have been there with the Jets? Is he guaranteed? Yeah,
I'm like, it's not a bad one. That's. I mean, he's done okay, but that's not a bad one. I'll add him to that. Robert Saleh. Okay, that's
another one that surprisingly is the dude from the Giants. I know he was like the coach of the year last year, but like the Giants, Daboll, man, like they aren't the greatest either.
Both New York guys, just out of here.
Oh yeah.
Brandon Staley. Sorry, Brandon Staley, you're out of there.
What coach is that for? What team? Chargers.
Yeah,
I was thinking about that team.
Yeah, he's got to get up out of there. He's definitely not the solution to that team.
Well, the Chargers, that seems to always be the case. It's like, man, you're just unlucky, man. That's probably why they might hit him with that. You're just not lucky.
I'm going to throw in Cardinals. I don't know if they're going to do him like that after 1 year. because he's a brand new coach, Gannon.
Well, I'm thinking because you say Kyler Murray's playing for his position, so I don't know if there's just so many factors there or variables outside of his control that he's earned. We'll give him another shot. We got a lot of things that are just making you as a rocky road. Patriots. What about Bill? Yeah,
I mean, Bill, to me, like, I don't know if they're gonna fire him or they're gonna have some amicable like parting of ways, but I just cannot see him coaching that team in the future.
I'm saying like the quarterback situation there just looks so let me watch my mouth.
he picked them. Oh, so one that's interesting, and I think so. I have two more that are not guaranteed, but I feel like they could happen for sure.
Let's say Bills.
No, that's not a bad one. Actually, I'm adding that. I'm adding that to the list too. Okay. So I think we're actually at 9 already.
Yeah.
I actually got 2 more that I was thinking about. So one of them, we're watching them on TV right now, Eberflus. I actually think that they've been playing well, but if they're not winning games. If they just keep losing, I don't know if he's endeared himself enough to keep this job. So that's one. The other one to me,
What is Matt Eberflus with the
Bears?
The Vikings? Okay. I was like, which team is he on? Oh, Addison with a catch. Yay. Okay.
You say yay. With the one that I'm thinking about is Kevin Stefanski with the Browns. I think that if they start to fall apart down the stretch, I'm in the Cleveland area, guys, so he is not super beloved, honestly, up here. And if they just have a complete crash and burn, you can't do anything about Deshaun Watson. I think he could easily be the one to go. There have been a lot of questionable like offensive play calling decisions and things like that, and I think he could easily be that like 10th or 11th name on our list. So I guess honestly, it wasn't even that hard to get to 10 or 11 coaches for real, if you include the who got fired.
Yeah, I looked at the teams and just the unlucky streaks that they've had, and how teams who have, in my opinion, underperformed given the team, the players that they have, and how just awful, just some of them just jump off the page. So it seemed like very reasonable what Adam Schefter said, as you said. So I'm gonna do a little bit more searching for the dog.
She's about to bite me. I'm
gonna man.
What is going on?
You must have mentioned the team that is her favorite. We got an injury in the game.
She don't like that conversation?
I guess not.
Don't hop out of there, man. You're gonna hurt yourself. You're too small. All right, so we got there. All right, so 23 minutes in, let's talk fantasy. All right, so thinking about some of these people who really failed us today, or failed us on Sunday.
Yes.
Let's start with the Rams receivers. What are your thoughts on like Kupp and Puka, all that stuff?
They say this is like the worst 4-game stretch in Cooper Kupp's career. My thing is with him, he was hurt, Also, with the Rams, they seem to have some dude that was like imbued with the god of Jim Brown before the game started with Kyren Williams. Like that dude came out of nowhere, just beast moding all over the place. I was like, if you were there and you go to like a high school game and they always say somebody's name after they do something, it would have just been Kyren Williams with the first down, Kyren Williams with 7 yards, Kyren Williams with the catch, Kyren Williams shook the entire damn defense and scored a touchdown. What the hell, Kyren Williams? Somebody sit down. What Kyren Williams? So that's what happened to the damn Rams wide receivers. Kyren Williams got back on the team, and he should show to everybody that this is the name I play for. Kyren Williams.
It's interesting. I obviously agree. Like there was no room to breathe in that offense outside of Kyren Williams, but also like Royce Freeman had like a really good day too. He had like 74 yards for a touchdown. Like the running game is just incredible. There's another turnover. Jesus Christ. That's like the running game and the Arizona Cardinals run defense is awful. Most amount of red zone targets and like red zone touches the running backs giving up, most touchdowns, most yards. Like they've been awful the last couple of weeks. And that's a guaranteed matchup. So that's why I do love like the Steelers guys next week. They're getting Arizona. With that being said, like Matt Stafford threw 4 touchdowns. And so that's just really disappointing that none of them went to the wide receivers. 2 went to Higbee. Kyren had 1. Somebody else had another one, but like it wasn't Kupp and it wasn't Puka. I'm less concerned about Puka than I am about Cooper Kupp, because I do think if we saw this at the beginning of the year, Kyren Williams was playing well, Puka Nacua was playing well. I think this truly is like a uniquely awful matchup, or a uniquely good matchup for running backs, and the Rams have shown a propensity, if they can run, they actually want to run the ball. And so I do think that this was almost one of those unique situations where I'm actually have a lot more faith in Puka Nacua, especially in PPR as a wide receiver 2. Moving forward, I'm honestly not super worried about him. Cooper Kupp, though. Man, like you said, I think it was 4 or maybe 5 straight weeks where he was under like 6 PPR points. Like he's been horrendous. He's clearly not healthy. He's just not getting like the number 1 target share like you would expect. Like Puka's still drawing more targets. Tutu Atwell is not going away, and I keep thinking he is going to, but he's not. And Matt Stafford, this was one of the few games where Matt Stafford threw more than 2. Like he's only been throwing 1 touchdown in most of these games. They've run a lot of touchdowns there. He threw 4, and they couldn't get a sniff. And I think Cooper Kupp to me is outside of my top 24 receivers, and I'm saying that including like this crazy terrible bye week we have where like a ton of teams run by, like Ravens, Buffalo, Minnesota, Bears, Giants, and there's some other teams, the Ravens, like all those guys run the bye week. It's a bye NATO this week. Still, if I can help it, if I'm in a 3 wide receiver league, I probably have to start him. But if I'm in a 2 wide receiver league, it's going to be hard for me to start Cooper Kupp.
Man, that's tough to say.
Yep.
Yeah, but it makes sense. And they were saying that injury he had, like the ankle injury, I think he was saying he's going to try to make him make it work. But I'm like, it's clearly having some form of an impact, and he's forcing himself through it. He might even just be a decoy, and they don't want to give all the information. You just don't want to risk your winning on that while that kind of trend is going on with him. So it makes a ton of sense. And they clearly don't need to lean on him or force it to be effective. So like you said, Kyren, Puka, they should at least bounce back to fill the Cooper Kupp void.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm just going to let him, if he goes off, he's going to go off on my bench probably. And I'll just eat it on those weeks. Because, I mean, honestly, if you have Cooper Kupp on your team, you may not be doing too well anyway. So like, you don't want to force him into your lineups. Okay. I don't really feel like talking about Adam Theilen, do you?
Well, yeah, not given, everybody, he's just sparkling on a team of terribleness right now. Whatever.
He got you like 1 point yesterday because I think he got like 2 targets. And
yeah, his recent is not good, but over the course of the year, I would have liked to have had Theilen. I mean, I remember the draft, and I was like, as a Panthers fan, I said, nah, early in the season. And I mean, if they could still turn it around with the firing, because if the new coach just says, let's go to what works and just pepper him with targets, who knows how they can return. That's kind of a major variance on what's going to happen with Theilen right now, given the circumstances in Carolina.
It's completely, like you're right. It's completely unknown. The thing that I'm theorizing that this is going to happen. Theoretically, Jonathan Mingo led that team in receptions yesterday. I could see a world where the season's gone terrible, like the season's over. Play our young guys, get young guys to work, and I could see a world where if you're just looking for like a deep stash, and I mean it's the playoffs coming up, so I don't know how much you want to do this in leagues, but if you're just looking for a stash, I think Jonathan Mingo may not be a bad stash as like just a target getter that may be getting a lot more work down the stretch of the season. And this is kind of when you see if there's a rookie who pops off, a lot of times this is around the time it starts to happen. So I don't think he's a bad flyer. I'm very worried about Adam Theilen. Obviously in like dynasty leagues, hopefully you like moved off of him already. I could not sell this man to save my life in one dynasty league I'm in. So I'm gonna just rock with it. And I think he'll be fine. He'll be better in PPR than he was yesterday. And I think they play like Tampa Bay, which is an amazing matchup. So he should be all right next week. But you just cannot rely on him on more than anything besides a wide receiver 2 now.
Yeah, with that change, that is he's a question mark going forward.
Yep. And the only one I wanted to touch on was Gibbs. So Gibbs wasn't awful. He got 10 points on Thanksgiving. But man, it was super disappointing. But the only thing I wanted to bring up was, I think I saw a snap share. I don't want to pull it up. I think that he dominated the snap share on Thanksgiving, which it didn't feel like because David Montgomery had a much better day, yards wise, touchdown wise. But Jahmyr Gibbs had 71% of the snaps to David Montgomery's 27%. Like he dominated the snaps in that game. So I actually think like people are really like people are swinging way too dramatically with Jahmyr Gibbs. Like he's the best, and no, he sucks now. Oh no, he's great, but now he sucks. Like no, he's gonna be a solid top 10 guy moving forward. I think this was just a bad game. Green Bay's defense is surprisingly very good over the last few weeks. They've actually been really, really good the last few. So I mean, Gibbs was kind of disappointed a lot of us on Thursday. I'm not worried about him though.
I saw Gibbs also had those 8 targets. So, I mean, that's very encouraging as well. Big time encouraging.
Yep. So I'm not worried about him. All right, I'm done with depressing. Let's get on to the studs. All right.
Nice.
So I mean, Nico Collins, I'm excited about Nico. I don't think he's the number one. I still think it's Tank. But Tank Dell, man, he got you 15 points or 17 points. He could have easily had a 37-point day with 2 plays. 2 plays, he would have had 30. Like it was there was a 76-yard touchdown pass that CJ Stroud just kind of missed them. They just didn't connect. But then that it was an illegal play. Like he shouldn't have. Like he slightly started moving towards the line of scrimmage, and they called it like a legal motion or something like that. And he had caught that 62-yard pass. Like those 2 plays would have added like so many points. He would have had 37. He would have 37 points, basically adding 20 points instead of 17. So
I'd have a W.
He's still a big winner. Yeah. Oh, you would?
Yeah, I'd be winning.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I only got that.
It was that, and I invested into the Kyler Murray, Trey McBride stack. In the first series, he made a pass to this man where he just missed him, and I was like, my reaction in real time to him missing this pass, I was like, wow, I'm very well invested. Like my soul hurt. Like I sounded like a whimpering dog. Oh, like, I was like, oh wow. Like, dang. I even had to check myself. I was like, hey, man, it's just a game, boy. It's just a game. It's a game.
Those missed touchdowns eat at your soul.
Yes,
they really do. In fantasy, yes, they like Calvin Ridley's been a soul eater because like this man has so many missed touchdowns. He missed another touchdown yesterday, but he at least caught one. But man, yeah, those missed touchdowns will really do you in. They will do you in strong. Did you do something down there again? I don't know. Figure it out. Figure your life out.
I know we moved on to the studs, but there was only one bum that also killed me, Saquon. It was his worst game, but I was like, man, I could have really used a better performance. That killed me. That's probably why I thought of the Giants head coach as to why he should be fired. That might have had a little bit of bias behind it.
I was like, all right, this seems a little random, but it's whatever.
I happen to have Saquon and Brees, and you notice I mentioned both of those coaches, so they were first.
That's true. Like the one thing I will say, I'll say one thing about both of those guys. Brees Hall, Miami's run defense is actually like ridiculously difficult. I think they're averaging like 60 yards or less rushing allowed per game, by far the most in the league. It's just the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks rather, not all season, but they are a shutdown unit. So that's just almost a team you want to avoid if you have the opportunity to. On New England's been pretty tough as well. I just think I think down the line averages Saquon's going to be fine, but I think he's going to max out as a top end RB2, like in the 13 range or so. Like he's not playing Washington every week, and so I just don't think he's going to have those 30-point weeks like he had that one time, but he's still going to give you some points. He's going to be able to score. The offense, for some reason, they keep wanting to win games and keep moving themselves out of the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. So he'll be okay. I just don't think he's going to be like a top 5 guy like we thought.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. We talked about Bijan a little bit, but man, like Arthur Smith, this is what you do, man. This is what you do. Give your best player the rock. Like I think he had. Like, he dominated the snap share, clearly, but he also, the most important thing, yes. So So he got 63% of the snaps versus Algiers 29%. 7 of 8 on third down, so he's getting those pass catching work. But he got 2 of 2 inside the 10. That is what we need. So don't get stupid and change that. Because if you're giving Bijan this work, you see he's producing, this is the best way for you to save your job, because you notice we did not name you in the coaches that we could have had on the chopping block. It's real easy to put you on that list if you lose this division. But you literally must win this division. I'm talking to you directly right now. You literally must win this division to save your job. And the best way for you to save this division or win this division is to just ride the back of Bijan Robinson, get the ball to London. You clearly don't care at all about Kyle Pitts, which is nuts, but whatever. We're going to have to just deal with that. But get the ball to your playmakers, but really, like, Bijan should be touching the ball 22 to 25 times a game at least. Like, no matter what. You know what I mean? Like, this seems obvious. Like, this seems like you should need to say it.
Yeah, he's a playmaker. I mean, you can see it. Everybody believes, why don't they give that guy the ball? I mean, he seems to do a good job with it, and that seems to be clearly what they're going to do. They probably were saving him for the playoffs or something like that, but it's time. It's time. Take the training wheels off. No, I'm saying because our division's so weak. They think they can turn it around, so I'm like.
Yeah. They got the defense. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I'm glad that was one of those takes. Like, their defense is not, like, shut down, but I knew their defense was going to be good. Like, Jesse Bates is a difference maker.
Oh, man, that interception was crazy.
Like, he's just a playmaker, like, through and through. Just that alone honestly changes your defense so much. And you see the difference it made in, like, Cincinnati. Like, he's a playmaker. He's a baller. And, like, they have the offensive line to do it. They have the run game to do it. They could easily win this division. You just got to get out of your own way. So hopefully he's going to start doing that.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, most likely. They're going to lean on him. I feel that.
And then who else? I guess we could kind of prime. Are there any other big, like, guys on the studs list that you wanted to call out? We talked about Kyren, Bijan. Didn't talk about Henry. He didn't really crush it. I just think that his schedule moving forward, like, this is like you're getting into that playoff Henry mode now. So it's probably a good time to want to. I mean, you can't. The trade deadlines are over. You can't grab him. We've been telling you guys to go trade for him though. So I think Derrick Henry's a big winner. Pat Freiermuth, just kind of leading into waiver wire stuff. I do think that he is a major pickup. He's really surprisingly, he's owned in less than 50% of leagues, ESPN and Yahoo right now. And this matchup was so unique in how good it was because the way that Cincinnati, they played 2 high safeties, and the way that you beat that is by like running your tight end up the seam, right? And they were killing that the whole game. He's also playing Houston next week, I think. Are they playing Houston? They're playing Houston soon, who runs 2 high safety as well. And then I think they're playing Cincinnati again soon, who obviously they run the 2 high safety system. They're going to try to defend them better, but like he has really good matchups where they clearly are showing they want to exploit that 2 high safety look and hit him on the seam. And especially with Matt Canada now being the head coach, I saw a lot of memes of like, this is Pat Freiermuth with Matt Canada gone, and it was just a picture of Travis Kelce.
They got the Cardinals and the Patriots next.
Yeah. Like, it's just, I mean, he's a good tight end, and hopefully he's going to get more targets. I mean, he got, like, double-digit targets yesterday.
I think he was probably wasn't owned that much because he's been on IR for a large part of the season. Like, literally in our league, I only had him because he was on IR, and I was like, well, this is, like, the Muth is Luth is, like, a very popular thing related to Pat Freiermuth. And when he was a rookie, I happened to have picked him up that year. So, like, I have a personal bias towards Pat Freiermuth because I think he's pretty good. So I had him just because he was on IR. And I actually should have played him this week because my man I brought up a few weeks ago, I've been leaning on him, Trey McBride. He didn't play poorly, but Pat Freiermuth, like you said, they abused the defensive setup that they had, and he had a very good game. So had I known ahead of time, doing my homework and following the FF strategies, I'd have been in a better position right now. And here it is. I even know you. I'm just stupid, you know.
It's funny, like you say, like after the Mark Andrews injury, I did make a post that just literally went down like who is the person you want to pick up or who are the options you could pick, because like if Mark Andrews you lost him in your lineup last week, you lost him on Thursday, so you had the opportunity to pick up players for free, and he was the first player I named. Now I'm not going to pretend like I was this high on him, But he was still the first person I named just because of his upside and because of his availability. Like, that's the best bet you had to get, like, a true starting tight end who has the upside, and clearly he's shown you the ability.
Yeah, and like you said, he's done it before. Like, Pat Freiermuth is a favorite target, as you've seen historically amongst the Steelers. Like, the Steelers do like to kind of pepper the tight end, as I think about it. So he's a very good pickup in what has been anticipated a very poor year for tight ends, but it's been, I would say, pretty decent considering what we anticipated. It's been a little decent. So,
yeah, if you think about the tight ends this year, man, golly, not even including Pat Freiermuth for real, like T.J. Hawkinson's still stepping up. Mark Andrews, before he got injured, was solid. Travis Kelce's still putting up numbers. But the rookies, Laporta, Kincaid, Trey McBride, those three in particular are really, like, boosting the position. Dalton Schultz, I can't forget about him. He's been crushing it lately. I do think E.Engram is, like, right there, and I think, like, he's actually playing that same matchup Cincinnati this week. The Jacksonville Jaguars are. So I do think that he can definitely go off this week. That's one of the matchups I love this week is E.Engram.
I can back that.
Because I think he had almost touchdown as well. Like, he was really close to getting one too. And it's not like he's playing badly. He's just not, like, almost getting lucky. And I feel like he'll get lucky this week. Yeah. All right. In waiver wires, I'm going to be putting out a post, guys, at some point within the next 24 hours about my waiver wire priorities. But honestly, it's not super, like, sexy this week. I think the main one is Pat Freiermuth. That's a clear one. Second, I would really recommend that people start picking up their, like, handcuff running backs. Like, so the Rico Dowdles, the Tajay Spears, like, those types of guys, just to make sure that your playoff run is solid. And then the only other one I wanted to talk about was, like, A.T. Perry, and I'm not going to pretend I did not watch him play at all. But the fact that the Saints just have no receivers right now, he's likely the next man up. And with a Derek Carr-led team, even though they'll try to lean on Kamara and probably Williams, they're still going to throw the ball. And they also lost Juwan Johnson, too. So they lost Juwan Johnson, Chris Olave, and Rashid Shaheed. And they already said, like, Rashid Shaheed is likely not going to play. Chris Olave has a concussion, like we've talked about earlier in the show. It's hard for people with a concussion to come back so quickly. And I don't know what Juwan Johnson's injury is, but there's a possibility you don't have any of those guys. A.T. Perry is worth a pickup if you have the space for sure.
Makes sense.
Yep. And then also Taysom Hill, I do think, like, he may have to get some run as even a receiving option too this week. But he's not. He's owned in, like, every league already.
True.
Yeah. All right, let's get into some of these Week 13 matchups real quick. So we already talked about the Steelers running backs, but they got Arizona, and we saw what Kyren Williams did. If you have to pick the Steelers running back that's gonna go off, Eric, who are you picking this week? Who's gonna be the higher performer of Najee and Jalen?
Personally, I think I'm gonna say Najee because Jalen Warren being put first. I saw a little bit of how Najee Harris was running as a result of that. I think on a personal level, that's spurring him to be like, hold on, I used to be the top dog. I'm not going to just step back and not put my best out there. So I think he's a motivated running back. That's my favorite running back. So I'm going to have to lean on him.
On that. And that's one of the things. I think both of these guys are RB2s to me. Both of them are, like, must start in two running back leagues. Like, I think that's a clear thing. I'm actually going to go Warren, though. And so I think, like, so Warren technically had more touches than Najee Harris did this past game, but Najee was just way more effective. Jalen Warren, like, fumbled when they were deep in the red zone, so that's not good. But he still got more touches even after the fumble and had, like, one more touch was like 16 to 15 type of thing. And if I'm looking at, like, what Kyren Williams just did, the type of plays he was making in, like, the passing game, and Jalen Warren, even though it's kind of cooled off, he's still, like, one of the top receiving running backs in the league from a reception standpoint. I mean, just even, like, body type, the person who fits the mold to me the best, who would, like, tear up Arizona, would be like a Jalen Warren. So I'm expecting him to make, like, maybe one or two big plays, like at the 30-plus 40-yard variety, and him just bust, like, some things open. Even if Najee Harris is, like, grinding it out in scores, I just feel like Jalen Warren has the bigger potential for sure. And I think that if he catches a couple passes, he will light up this Arizona team, because clearly what they want to do is grind it out on the ground, and there literally is not a better matchup you can have in this league than facing the Arizona Cardinals because they're playing. I think they're playing in Pittsburgh against Arizona. Like they are going to run the ball like 35 plus times in that game. Like it's gonna be a slaughter. Like again, I like Najee, I like Jalen, but I'm definitely gonna go Jalen this week.
Yeah, Jalen Warren, I guess after performing that way, it could be double motivation. And like you said, he doesn't want to go ahead and lose the now newly promoted position that he has. So I think you can't go wrong with both guys. They should be both chomping at the bit for this one.
Yeah, and I think like the new position, it was more of like from what I saw, it seemed like it was more of like a ceremonial thing. Like they announced him with the starters, and he came out with the starters because the coach said like he had earned it. And I don't even think he actually got the first carry in that game, but I think he actually got the first carry in this game. So I think they're truly like it is like a 50-50 split in this backfield right now.
Okay.
Yeah. But oh man, the one I love this week, Thursday game, we got the Cowboys and the Seahawks.
Ooh.
All those Tony Pollard haters. Eat it, man. Like you gotta eat it. You gotta eat it. You had 10 weeks to gloat in my face. You gotta eat it now. Because Tony Pollard is back. He has the best matchup this week. Seattle they're up there with Arizona. Awful. Like they're giving up a ton of yards on the ground. They're giving up like damn near like 60 plus receiving yards to running backs per game. Like Tony Pollard is dominating snaps. Tony Pollard has that explosiveness back. Tony Pollard is him, and we are about to see something special on Thursday. Oh my God, I'm excited. Woo! Oh boy. What do you think?
And a Thursday, yeah, I would say so because they just had the Thanksgiving game, of course. So this is another prime time Thanksgiving Thursday. Yeah, they really gonna run it up. Trying to go ahead and catch up to see exactly how he performed in the last game because I know he did have a lot of doubters this year.
Oh yeah,
so far.
I trust me, they let me know. Hey, you want to talk? I had him as my number 2 running back on the year, and they let me know how wrong that was. Yeah, that's not good. But yeah, so it's an 8.5 point spread. That seems rather high, like for me. But still, I mean, it's like the Cowboys are. I mean, either they're losing or they're blowing somebody out. It's either one. You got to pick, and I don't think they're gonna lose.
They said the last game he had over 6 yards per carry, even though 3 of them were for a loss.
Yep. He the explosion, man. Like, cause that's the thing. Like he over the last few weeks, and it seemed to be after his bye week. Like, he was honestly at the bottom of the league with his explosive plays and his avoided tackle rate. And in the few games since then, he's literally gotten, not to the top of the league, but he's gotten out of the doldrums of those statistics over the last few. And you could just see it on tape. You could just see the explosion. You could see, like, he's carrying defenders. Like, you could see just, like, he's really, like, he's kind of back. And so I'm not afraid to, like, confidently put him in my lineup as a top 10 running back, no question. Especially this week. I mean, everyone's on bye, but even if it wasn't on bye, he'd be top 10.
I say he's motivated. That's the best kind of running back.
Yeah, he needs that.
Motivated and talented. Yeah, on a good team.
He needs, like you said, honestly, the motivation is right. If he does not play well, he's on a 1-year deal. He has to really ramp it up because he was one of the few like running backs. I think we had talked about it last week where Saquon, he was trying to hold out. Jacobs was trying to hold out. Tony Pollard's like, no, I'll take the franchise tag. Like, he didn't fight it. He just took it. And so he accepted, like, this is a 1-year deal, and I'm going to bet on myself. He's been losing that bet up until the last few weeks. So hopefully he could turn it around because that payday is going to matter, and, like, he really needs to show his worth to this organization.
I would really love to have that player on my team. Even I can say I am best motivated when it becomes monetary. You're going to see the best ads and TDs. Pause.
See the best ads and TDs. Oh, Jesus. So bad. I don't really care about going through the bad running back. Like, so I talked about it. Like, Miami is honestly like the worst matchup you could have for running backs. Brian Robinson is going to be facing them this week. They're basically giving under like 60 yards per game to running backs, and also this past week he was splitting work pretty evenly with Antonio Gibson, who was back in the lineup. It seems when they get blown out, Brian Robinson can sometimes get completely game scripted out, and I'm not guaranteeing a blowout, but they're playing Miami. I don't know. I don't know, bro.
It's looking like it. Leaning towards, especially with Tua having such a poor game on the last week. This was Tua's worst game. I know as the Tua manager. That's why I played Kyler Murray, anticipating this with the Jets. He was under 10 points this week, even despite the wide receivers having a pretty decent day. He had those 3 picks. So Tua might come out. He might be trying to like gash them boys. I want y'all to just forfeit. Forfeit.
I mean, there's like very few matchups that are this good against like Washington. And again, Jack Del Rio's not there, so maybe things are gonna change, but the personnel's not changing. And honestly, like that kid Emmanuel Forbes, who was getting cooked earlier in the year, he really turned it around the last few weeks to the point that he was actually performing from a PFF standpoint as one of the better corners in the league. But he's been out the last few weeks, and so that actually is now a detriment to that defense. And they are just getting crushed with. I mean, it's the worst type of team you could have facing Miami. A team who's getting dominated with deep passes. Like you could not construct a worse offense to face than the Miami Dolphins if you're a team who gets blown up by deep passing offense. Like, this is a game where Tyreek Hill is clearly my number 1 receiver. It's not even a question in my rankings. Jalen Waddle is a top 10 guy. Like, he showed up last week. I think this could be one of those big, like, we're having a couple 70-yard catch type game type things.
I'll be playing Tua.
Yep. Play your Dolphins. Just play your Dolphins. Don't even worry about it. Just play them. All right. I want to cruise. So we talked about the bad matchup there. Bad matchup for receivers. Drake London doesn't have a great matchup with New York. I would avoid him if you could. And the Seahawks receivers, it's just, I don't know what the hell to do. They're playing the Dallas Cowboys. It's a really tough matchup. And also the fact that, I mean, it's honestly the worst case scenario is that the fact that they're all healthy. If one was injured, it'd be a little easier to like make a decision, but it's not the case. So I'm trying to avoid all 3 of those guys for real if I can.
Makes sense.
Great matchup. We talked about E.Engram. I love his matchup against Cincinnati from a tight end's perspective. And then great matchup for receivers. 2 of the ones I want to talk about quickly. Breeze through them. Like Brandon Aiyuk. He's playing Philly. That's a great game coming up. That's a nice little rematch. I know they're very salty about how that NFC Championship went, so that's going to be a dope game. What do you think about the game?
Matchup. That is a A1 matchup. Like, we have our top 5 rankings for our teams. You got to say Eagles and 49ers. Anybody who has half a brain and watches football, they're in your top 5. Those teams are right now absolutely smack dogging everybody. That's going to be a fantastic game. Top 2.
Yeah, man. They're going to be. Brock Purdy's going to be motivated. He didn't even get to finish that game. Like, this is going to be one of those ones. It's going to be a good game, bro. Good game. And I think so the way that the Eagles play defense, they actually been – now, I was about to lie and say they've been playing better defense. That's not true. Buffalo just showed us that. It's like man coverage versus zone coverage really seems to dictate which of the receivers does well in the 49ers. And when a team is playing man coverage, Brandon Aiyuk cooks them up. Debo, so Seattle Seahawks, they play I think the 3rd most amount of zone in the league. Debo and Kittle are really good when it's zone coverage. Man coverage, Ayuk's routes are crispy. He's hitting he is crazy nice. And so I do think this could be one of those really big Aiyuk games. And another matchup I really love too is Keenan Allen. Who are they playing? The Chargers are playing a bad team. New England? Yeah, they're playing New England. Yep.
Okay.
And so they could try to contain him, and I know Belichick tries to take your number 1 weapon away. That's been working real well for him lately. But, Keenan Allen is averaging over 15 targets a game his last 3. If Tyreek wasn't playing, you know what I mean? If Tyreek wasn't playing the god-awful Commanders, Keenan Allen will be easily my number one receiver. But there's just a lot of great matchups. Even in this bye week, there's a ton of amazing matchups, and that's one where I'm excited to see what Keenan Allen does because he's really had a career resurgence.
He has been like, I just think about how I was in round 2 of the draft and Keenan Allen was there, and I just took Jalen Waddle. I mean, if I could switch that back, never again. I mean, he has had a fantastic season so far, and like you said, we do have bye weeks coming up, unfortunately, for these last 2 weeks here that I have to adjust to. So, I'll be paying attention to you.
I know, because it's tough with the bye week. Like the bye week sucks, but it really does suck because the bye weeks are here, but there's not like a big waiver wire ad either. So it's just kind of like we're left with what we're left with. Like these are major teams. Like again, Minnesota, Baltimore, Giants,
Buffalo,
Bears, Ravens. That's a lot. That's a lot of players.
Giants.
Yep.
Saquon.
That's one player. Yeah. Yeah. All those teams in Saquon. Like that's a lot of cats to be left out with. But that's why even like some of the things are worse. It's like I'm still so not confident in like the Rams room, the receiver room. I'm still really not confident in the Seattle room. That tells you a lot about how I feel if we're in by NATO, and I'm trying my best to still avoid all of those guys.
Whew. That's tough.
All right, so let's get to our top 5 teams and get up out of here, bro. All right, so do you want to go first?
All right, sure. I mean,
you don't have to if you want me to go.
Well, yeah, I just want to go recap and see exactly what I'd said previously. I know I had number 1 was the 49ers. That hasn't changed. Number 2, I had the Ravens. I'm confident. I'll go ahead and keep the Ravens there.
Okay.
I think number 3 going to have to be the Eagles. I believe this is exactly how I said last time. Number 4, I'm going to keep the Chiefs. Number 5, we all recall I said the Lions. That's going to have to change thanks to Goff. I'm not going to let that ride. So we're going to go ahead and bump up. It's between Miami and the Cowboys. I have more Miami players than Cowboys. I think Miami, that crazy offense, you said they got that good defense. The defense is good at stopping the ball running. Somewhere along the lines, I think they got that good cornerback. His name escapes me, but he's very athletic, and he used to play for the Rams. I think he should go ahead and turn things around, shut down the number 1 wide receiver. I'll put Miami as my number 5 over the Lions now.
That's a good one. That's a good list. Can't lie to you. And so can you recap your 5 real quick?
Recapping the 5, number 1, we got the 49ers. Number 2, we got the Ravens. Number 3, we've got the Eagles. Number 4, we've got the Chiefs. And number 5, we now have the Miami Dolphins.
All right. That's a list. There we go. I'm adjusting mine on the fly.
Cool.
And let's see. Because I don't even remember what I had last time. All I know is I had the Lions in there, and they're not in there anymore. So I think the Lions are going to be all right, I honestly do. I think that they're looking at this division, nothing super scary in these teams that are competing right now. And so I do think that the Lions are definitely still going to take the division. I think that they the thing with them is their defense. I've been saying this for a while, like in fantasy in particular. The red zone defense is god awful. It's by far the worst in the league. There was a point where they were allowing like nearly 90% of conversions in the red zone. So like if you get into the red zone, 9 times out of 10 you scored a touchdown. And there's teams like in Pittsburgh and stuff where you're scoring 25% of the time. Like you see how like that is not, you're not doing anything in the playoffs with that type of defense. Like they gotta tune that shit up. That being said, my number 1 is still going to be the Eagles, and I know they had that scare yesterday, but I'm going to have to give them credit for pulling it out. Like that is like not pause. That is not, that's just not like that is a game you easily could lose. You got that late.
I did.
That's a game you could easily lose that game. And I got to give them credit for coming back, the defense stepping up, and like making big plays when you need it. That field goal, bro.
Oh yeah, huge.
In the rain, like, man, you just can't. You can't.
Clutch.
Like that's the definition of clutch. I think Jalen Hurts to me has to lead the MVP race based on that game too. So that's one for me. Number 2, 49ers moved up. So they moved up over the Ravens. I like the Ravens. I just think like if the 49ers are going to be clicking like this, I can't deny them. I can't deny that offense. I can't deny that defense in particular. And we are about to see what's up this week in that matchup. That's why that matchup is so awesome. And I'm watching the players that I traded Jason to tear me up right now. Ugh. I traded him DJ Moore and Kyren Williams, so that's fun.
Yeah, we was chilling with Jay this weekend. I was talking to him about it.
Yep. I traded him those players, and they whooped me up this week. Next, all right. So I have the Eagles, I have the 49ers. I'm then putting the Ravens. They're a solid team. I'm never gonna. They're never gonna do anything enough offensively to get me super excited, except those 2 games they had with Seattle and the Lions. Outside of that, they're like solid. They'll give you like 21 to 24 points, but like they're just not as exciting to me. 4, I'm really thinking about this because there are 3 teams who are battling for these last 2 spots. It's the Chiefs, it's the Dolphins, and it's the Cowboys. I don't know if the Chiefs honestly deserve to be here. Truly. Like when you were talking about the Cowboys and the Dolphins, it's really like Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are literally the only reasons why I would even think about them being. Now I'll keep them up for it. The defense too. The defense is good. The defense honestly is probably the best unit on that team right now. I won't get crazy. I'm going to leave them at 4. I'm going to leave the Chiefs at 4. And then between these 2 teams, man, I'll give it to the Dolphins. I'm going to give it to the Dolphins too. I think that it's tough, man. You could really make this like it's not even like a 5-6. It's like a 5A, 5B for the top 6, right? Top 5. Because I was actually thinking, you know how entertaining and fun it would be to see a Dolphins Cowboys Super Bowl. Oh my God.
Fire.
That would be
liquid fire.
That would just be like set the script up, Roger Goodell. Like that's oh God.
That'd be incredible.
Would be nice.
90 to 78.
Well, actually, but that's the thing. Both the defenses are pretty good. Watch it be like a defensive club.
That's true.
You know what I mean? But man, that would be super fun to watch. But so let me recap my top 5. So it's going to be Eagles, 49ers, Ravens, very reluctantly Chiefs. And then I'm going to go Dolphins, and then literally the next team in, like barely not in there, is going to be the Cowboys.
Got it.
Yep, man. I think that's it.
I know the people were expecting the Panthers, but I'll be fair.
Maybe in the next 3 years or so.
We'll hope so.
But like, actually, there's a world to me where like they do what they're doing. They're gonna get a new coach. People are saying like they're gonna try to poach Ben Johnson from the Lions, the offense coordinator there, who's been really picky about where he wants to go as his head coaching job. I don't know, like if I'm him, I'm not going to the Panthers because you have a meddling owner, and I'm not really interested in that shit. I'll tell you that right now. You know what I mean?
We need a new Lombardi over here.
And
Tom Landry over here.
It's just like I'm struggling to think who you're able to get, because I do think like a coach, like if you're a coach, you're a young coach. Like they are kind of a dysfunctional organization. Clearly, they're not giving their head coaches. I mean, the last 2 coaches they fired mid-season, I believe, right? Wasn't it Matt Rule? They fired him mid-season too?
Oh, man. I forgot all about him. Golly, I think they did. Yeah. Holy cow, I forgot about him. I was thinking about Ron Rivera immediately. And I was like, I don't think so. But I believe that was the case with the gentleman's name that you mentioned. Yes.
Yeah, and I just wouldn't – I mean, I don't even know. Like, if I'm Ben Johnson, I'm not trying to go there. If I'm Ben Johnson, I'm going to find out wherever the hell Caleb Williams is going, and I'm going to go rock with that. Because any of those teams, he's going to be like, there's a coach spot available probably. Maybe the Bears, maybe not. But because they may get the number 1 pick because of the Panthers. But possibly them. I mean, it could be New England, which would be so annoying. That would be so annoying. That would be so annoying if they got him. Oh my god. Ugh, I would hate that so bad. Like, I really want him to go to like a warm weather city or something, or like a dome team or something like that, just to be
like the Bears are gonna steal the game from the Vikings here late. I just saw
like it.
What?
Santos field goal. Yeah.
And it looks like I'm gonna lose. Damn it.
Yeah, I'm definitely losing that. I don't think Jordan Addison went for 52 like I hoped.
Nah, not at all. Not at all.
But yeah, man, let's wrap this up, bro. It was nice doing the show, guys. Thank you guys so much for hopping on. Again, you can find me on TikTok, Fantasy Football Strategist. We're putting out content every day. Going live, I'm stopping to say every day. We're going live most days. So going live most days, just talking fantasy football and stuff like that. So if you guys have any questions or comments or stuff you want to see, hit me up. I'm going to do my waiver wire. Like, I may not do a video. I may just make a list and put it out there for you guys, a cheat sheet. Going to be doing the start sits. I'm going to start to do the start sits earlier in the week because I know a lot of people like those, and I usually wait until Saturday to do them. I'm going to try to do them in the week so you guys can ask more questions. So yeah, that's me. TikTok, that's where I'm at. Eric, what's up?
For me, I'm going to be following what you say, so I can go ahead and not make the mistakes I made this week. And I'm going to just be here for next week as a professional homie who also watch football and the other half of my name. Have a good one.
All right, bro.
Yes,
well, thank you guys so much for hopping on. Have a good night, and you'll see us on a regular time next week on Sunday at 10. All right. Take care, guys.
Peace.